Something hits you pretty squarely in the face the second you step outside for the first time in Roatan. When you hear and feel the wild beat of tribal drums resonating up from somewhere in the steaming foliage, and you draw that first breath of humid jungle air. You notice the old bones of wayward vessels jutting up from the harbor, burnt out hulls of ships not unlike the one you're on, ruined and left to decay, their losses unattended and unexplained. What's apparent on Roatan from the very first glimpse is that here, some level of chaos is tolerated. It's maybe a little bit wilder than what you're used to, and that gets your blood pumping, because on this island, today, you know you're about to see some real shit. Of all the ports of call on this Caribbean cruise, Roatan was the most mysterious to me. To be honest, I'd never even heard of it. It's an island in Honduras, that much I figured out, and according to our diving buddies who'd been here before, it was some of the best snorkeling in their lives. Getting to those coral reefs, though, that was going to be the trick. On the other islands, we'd rented cars, usually, but here, there was a warning about that, a concern that local police were rumored to be pulling tourists over and shaking them down. We didn't fact-check this information, we simply heeded the warning, and we left the secure port with its manufactured facade behind, hailed a taxi cab, and went into the real Roatan. From the passenger seat of a cab, Roatan is a blur of vibrant colors, kaleidoscope tunnel walls, rushing by through a web of streets and alleys that are just as tangled as the snarls of power lines all knotted up overhead. No telling who or what was going to pop out around every twist and turn in what felt like a wild carnival ride. Our journey of about an hour to West Bay took us through bursts of civilization that interrupted dense miles of jungle while our cabbie talked about the island politics. I never asked him specifically about the rumors of local cops shaking down tourists, but he did volunteer enough information to leave me with the impression that he had about just as much love for the local police as he did the Honduran mainlanders, which he referred to as the Spaniards. Our destination was Tabiana Beach in the province of West Bay. As the cabbie talked, and the further we drove into the Roatan jungle, I watched the infrastructure gradually just break down all around us. Until the road itself was barely holding itself together, I was beginning to wonder how often vehicles just fell into giant holes when that, boys and girls, is just exactly what fucking happened. Yeah, I know. We were walking to the beach. This may look super sketchy, and it is, but everybody here is actually really nice. And they help each other out. It's true, the Roatan locals are very friendly and eager to help you out. The crime rate here is actually very, very low. It just goes to show that you can't always judge a book by its cover, even if that cover is missing or perhaps ripped in half and smeared with mud.
Roatan's always an adventure.
Season and probably not a lot of snorkeling happening today, but drinking on the beach sounds okay too.
Yeah, it did. Tabiana Beach was gorgeous, but recent storms had kind of stirred the water up a little bit, so Annie and I thought we'd just post up at a resort bar and let our diving buddies have first crack at it while we held down the fort, watched people and vendors of all kinds. I mean, you got your conch shell vendor, of course, making his rounds. Got your lemon vendor. Your oceanfront massage vendor, accompanied closely by a coconut water vendor. And my personal favorite, the cooler full of empanadas over the shoulder vendor.
Empanada, empanada.
It was all pretty good entertainment, but once our diving buddies had had their fill and came ashore, we traded them our spots at the bar for a couple of snorkeling floats, and we went into what we figured was murky water. We could not have been more wrong. Just beyond the milky breakers, the sea was as clear as a shot of blue curacao. Getting to Tabiana Beach from the cruise port might have been a sketchy little adventure, but it was absolutely worth it. I'd say the coolest aspect of snorkeling on Roatan is all the unique structure in the reef system. It's like a three-dimensional maze of canyons and bluffs and channels down there, like an undersea labyrinth of coral that's just filled with colorful creatures. So cool. I promise I didn't fall asleep on you. I just feel like sometimes when it comes to narration, less is more. Let the viewer hear the natural sounds and just shut up and get out of the way. Now, we'd promised to pay the cab driver the second half of the fare if he was waiting for us up on West Bay Road at precisely 2 o'clock. But in case you forgot, when we left the poor guy, he was still stuck in a giant hole in the street. So we were pretty damn curious what we were gonna find when we got up there. Yeah, buddy, with some help from a nearby backhoe operator, he'd managed to get loose.
Nice work. Yeah.
In Roatan, people help each other out. Speaking of helping each other out, how about helping this little rinky-dink channel grow with a subscribe or a share? We're going places whether anybody's watching or not. And as my wife pointed out, hey, if the travel channel shits the bed, at least we've got our own library of home videos taking up YouTube server storage space. That is the right attitude, Chiquita. Tune in next week for Cozumel. And as always, ciao for now.